In this video, we're going to walk through the UI changes to DataBlend. The first thing you'll notice when you log into DataBlend is that the font has changed, and you can see that here in this instance of DataBlend compared to an old instance of DataBlend where the font looks slightly different. This is displaying the dashboard, and everything on the dashboard is exactly the same, just the font looks a little bit different. Another change is in the lists within each item within the side menu. So if you click on credentials, for example, you'll notice some slight changes here where the search bar is now over here on the right hand side, whereas before, if we look at credentials, the search bar was above the buttons on the left hand side, where now it's in the same row as the buttons over on the right hand side. Another change you will notice is the View Options button in the top right corner. This has all the same functionality as before, it's just a little more prominent, whereas before it was just a gear icon with those same options. This layout is consistent with all the items in the side menu, so if you click on collectors, you'll notice this same layout, queries looks the same, data targets look the same, all the way down through all the pages in the tools section and anywhere there's a list to be displayed. Next, for collectors, data targets, and workflows, some additional changes in each individual object page. So starting with collectors, if we just take a quick look here, gone are the cards on the right hand side. If we take a look at the old UI, you can see we had old cards over on the right, and those are now gone. And instead we have where the details were in the latest collection were, all of that up top. So if you hover over this eye icon, you will see all the details that you had before, when this object was created, when it was updated, and the timestamp and who created, updated it. The latest run is now below. It'll show you the status if you hover over, and you can click into the latest run by clicking right on the link here, and it'll take you to a familiar page with a little new UI on the details. Otherwise, all the history now has its own tab, and you can see if this object was run more than once, you'd see the full list of history here. Over on the top right, all of your icons belong in this section now. Your favorites is the star. The eye, if you click on it, will show you that same detail. This icon will allow you to create a template from this object. The Collect Now button will run this collector, and then obviously save will save this collector from any changes that are made. Another big change is with parameters, and we'll see this a little bit more when we look at the workflows. If you add a parameter, the UI just looks a little bit different. You can see it creates kind of a step on the list on the left here where you can give it a name and then choose your type of parameter that you might want. Select your value like always, and then you have your other options available to you as well depending on the parameter. And then you can add more parameters just by clicking the Add Parameter on the button on the left. So slight change in the UI here. You can move parameters around by dragging and dropping. You can delete, duplicate, and add parameters before and after using the options within the ellipsis here. So then if we take a look at workflows, we will notice a similar layout to what we just saw with parameters, but this carries over into the actual workflow steps. So you'll notice these steps here each has its own individual box, and instead of expanding like you did in the old UI, if we take a quick look at an old workflow, you'll notice the box for the step was took up most of the screen, and you'd have to click the button to expand to see what the details were. Now you can click right on each step right here, and it's going to display over on the right hand side the details of that step. And then using some of the newer functionality that came out in a recent release, you can now view the actual object right from within this screen as well. So this query, if you want to view it, you can open it right in the drawer, and it's going to display all within the workflow that I'm in. You can make this bigger or smaller just by dragging the side of this window here. And here you can edit your entire query and save it, and it'll update the workflow automatically. So you can add a step, and you'll notice it'll just add it to the left, and then you can go through and add your step as normal. Everything else is going to look similar to what we just looked at with the parameters. You have your history section that shows you the history of this workflow, the same parameter layout as we looked at with collectors, and then the advanced tab is the same as it's always been. Similar to the parameters, you can also delete, duplicate a step, add a step before or after, right from within the workflow here as well. And then the last section of data targets, if we just take a look at one, same layout as what we just looked at with collectors. Basically, you have all your info in the top left, all of your action buttons in the top right, the new history tab to show all the history of this data target, the new parameters layout, and everything else should look just like we saw with collectors and workflow layout as well. So that will wrap up all the new UI changes, and you can expect this to come out with the September 2.0 release on September 19th.